everybody? Second ever episode of Forged by Fire. I got some amazing guests here. I'm going to introduce you in just a second. What is Forged by Fire? It's different than your normal quote unquote success or results podcast. Forged by Fire is exactly what it sounds like. It's people that have been through hell. It's people that maybe have been to the top, lost it, and came back and won again. Because there's so many different shows out there where you can learn about success tips and principles, but I want to know about the valleys and how did you get through the valleys and how did you overcome those valleys to go out there and do it again. My backstory is I've been through a lot of fucking valleys. I've been in entrepreneurship since 18. Owned my own company from 25 to 42, almost 43. Every success, failure, sold out crowd, lawsuit, every going public, taking it back private, cancel an IPO, everything you can think of, from real estate development to seed investing, ones that have done well, ones that all took a shit. I've seen a lot of valleys and also had a chance to overcome that. And I wanted to do this show to bring on people like this that have similar stories. So today, we've got Edmund Coutan, we got Dave Bengel, two people I've known for 14-ish years. I've known Dave for about 14 years, maybe 12, 11 years. We had a chance to cross paths, in a prior life. Now these guys are out there freaking killing the game. So we're gonna start with, before we go into the full backstories, what's the kind of the 90-second, the 2-minute version of, hey, this is my backstory, where I'm from, what happened next, and now we're killing the game, and then we're gonna dissect. So who wants to go first?
I remember, Nick, we met, I think it was 2009 was the first time. Does that sound right?
It was definitely 08, 09.
Yeah, 08, 09, yeah. At that time I was in construction, low voltage construction, like MTV Cribs type homes, lots of fancy equipment, smart home, theater stuff. Fun business, but it definitely owned me. And I was looking for something that had some leverage, somewhere that I could have some time freedom. And that's when we met, went straight into network marketing. That was really like college. That was business college. That's where I got all the reps, learned how to sell, learned how to train, learned how to I did thousands of one-on-one calls and meetings, and then transitioned into solar and been riding the solar coaster for the last 7 years. It's been a wild one. We'll probably talk a little bit about that today.
We'll talk about the solar coaster. Goal for sales, just so people get context before we dive into your story. Your goal for revenue this year will be somewhere between blank and blank. Not your goal. You will achieve in revenue this year somewhere between blank and blank.
350 to 400 million.
350 to 400 million is where they're going to hit this year. And this is, your right-hand man. This is your top leader, somebody that we've had a chance to know since, you're probably 20 years old, when we met. Tell everyone your backstory, Edmund.
Hey guys, I'm Edmund. I'm hanging out with two of my friends and mentors today. And like Dave, I was exposed to network marketing entrepreneurship in 2009. Dropped out of college, made my first $5,000 in a month, and just been getting after it ever since. Beautiful. And you predict, we're going to switch to, and I do this only because you're not shy about talking about this. So your first $5,000 a month when you got started as a direct selling entrepreneur at age 20? Mm-hmm. 19.
At 19, and you believe in income you'll clear about what in 2022 this year?
Ooh. Well, I did 2.5 last year, and it'd be nice to double it, but we'll be somewhere in between. Somewhere between 2.5 million in income to 5 million in income is where we're going to land here. So I wanted you guys to get some context as to who we've got at the table today. What it is that they bring to the table. And this is going to be a great journey. So let's talk about, both of you guys had results. Both of you guys had success. You had a great business in what you were doing in the Bay Area. Yep. You transitioned that into direct sales networking. Yep. You created some leverage. You were able to walk away from your business. Mm-hmm. Wife, 2 kids. 2 kids. 2 kids. How old are they now?
So David is 12 and Dylan is 5.
12 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many kids do you have that you know about?
I have a lot of
thousands
children. Yes.
None that he knows about. So, Edmund, you've seen glimpses of great success in different businesses that you've gone to South America to build teams. You've built teams internationally. You've had thousands and thousands of, team members that have followed you through different companies. And then let's go to Dave. My company really actually started to backslide. My prior company got hit with, the shitstorm of shitstorms, death by 1,000 paper cuts from the guys that bought us not paying us and then trying to spin us out, take it public. That IPO got canceled. To just all kinds of devastation, to creating a vertical I'd say a vertical that didn't exist before, challenge marketing, which attracted us all together.
Yep.
Then everybody in the whole supplement, direct selling, and fitness world
all copied.
A weight loss challenge, a fitness challenge.
Remember the Panera Bread challenge?
Yeah, the Panera Bread challenge. So it was, that's our there's an old saying in Jamaica, which is, when America sneezes, Jamaica gets the cold. So I learned that when we were doing business down there, that when our economy was bad, they got killed, right? And what had happened with you is that we were sneezing, but the people were getting the cold, right? And different people at different times.
Yeah, different markets.
So tell us what happened. You'd walked away from your business. You were making a multiple residual 6-figure income.
Yep.
Wife, 2 kids, and within a certain time frame, your income had dropped by 50%, dropped by 80%. What position were you in before you transitioned?
Yeah, I mean, it started going backwards pretty fast, and even though we had a decent residual, I always treated my business like a business. So I'm traveling and doing everything I can to build teams and leverage myself to create as much success as possible. So I mean, even though we're making decent money, and depending on who's listening, maybe a couple $100,000 sounds like some other people, it's like, what is that, right? That was last month. So this guy. We were living in the Bay Area, and very expensive, very high cost of living there, and we did our best to reboot, relaunch, but it became pretty obvious like we needed to do something different. Some tough conversations inside the family, outside the family, and pretty much all options were on the table. Is this the first time I go back and get a job for 15 years?
Was that an inward conversation, or was that a family conversation?
It's a family conversation. Yeah. A point of pride for me was that my wife didn't have to work. That was really something that was important to me. It's something that she wanted, so it's something that I wanted.
Right.
She wanted to be a full-time, stay-at-home mom, work-at-home mom. And she killed it, in the business with us, but because she wanted to, it wasn't like she needed to make money. And so that was probably the toughest part, is like, she's talking about getting a job. I'm like, well, I have to do whatever it takes, at this point. So it was tough. It was very,
She ended up getting a job.
I mean, she worked at Verizon Wireless. She took several different jobs. She ended up working for a windows and doors company, and that's where she did the best.
Right.
But like literally every day, I'm like, how do I get my wife back home? Like that was goal number one. That was my biggest why right there.
What was the hardest point when things were kind of unwinding and incomes dropping? Do you remember what the hardest or most difficult point was during that transition?
Yeah, so we knew we had to get out of the Bay Area to lower our cost of living. We go to Canada, of all places. We experienced 20, 30, 40 degrees below zero cold. Not to hate on Canadians, but I don't know how you're there or why you're there.
Alcohol, lots of alcohol.
I can't blame you for being born there. I just don't know why you stay. So it's like every weekend someone is dying because they literally slide off the road and they freeze to death in their car, or they take a walk and never come back. I mean, it's just brutal conditions. And the winter is like 9 months long. I mean, it's just So we didn't know all this going in, and it was really tough being there. Now, what Canada makes up for brutal weather is like really warm people. So we made some incredible relationships.
Yeah.
Found a great church there.
Best people.
Yeah, literally the best people. But we're not staying there long term, and so I'm still trying to make it work in our business. And I'm flying back and forth from Canada to the U.S. And there's more and more distance going on between me and my wife, and I'm not seeing my son. And there was a tough conversation over the phone while I'm in San Jose, literally like rebuilding a team, launching a new regional or a new RD, creating a story. And it's like the conversation is starting to sound like we might be going different directions. And I took 100% responsibility for that in that moment. I'm just like, I cannot lose my family, over money, over not being a good provider.
Yeah, over business.
Yeah, over business. And it took everything to try to just hold that together. Because in that moment, you're like, there's so many emotions, right? It's like resent. It's like, well, forget this. And, you can easily go into blame mode. And I was just focused on like, okay, you're crazy right now. Let's just box that up. We're gonna make this work. We're gonna figure this out at all costs. I'm all in. I need you to just give me whatever you can. And I almost lost my family during that period. It was a really, really rough time in our marriage. I did fly to Canada and drive my family back, so at least I would have them in my proximity, get a little closer to them.
There's no escaping.
Yeah, if I can see you, then And we got an apartment in Roseville, California, and lived in an apartment since I was probably 8 years old. Mattress on the floor, empty fridge.
Full rebuild.
Like literally selling shit on Craigslist.
So how many of you guys have been there? How many guys are there right now? How many guys have got your ass handed to you and are wondering whether or not you got it in you again? How many of you guys haven't done it yet before, but you just need that inspiration to be able to hear that it can be done? Very powerful. Thank you for sharing. So I can't wait for the next part of the story.
Yeah.
Edmund.
It gets better, I promise.
I am.
There's a lot of places we can go, but I'm gonna have you take me to. You had we'll call it a hilly road, right? It's like you get a victory and then something would happen. You get a victory and something would happen. You get a victory, and you would probably say what percentage of that was?
I've been very good at sabotaging my success. Very early on. Very good at it. If there's a way to mess it up, I'll do it.
Early on, not anymore. So I was leading that way, but I wasn't going to say it. So for those folks that maybe have a tendency to get warm,
Sure.
walk them through kind of who you were in those moments. I want to see the alignment maybe from what they're feeling or thinking, not who you are today, but the thought patterns then as you're getting into things and getting good mentors or good opportunities. Take it away.
Well, perspective is everything. Growing up, being in my early 20s, getting into entrepreneurship, the results were never good enough for me. Today, I tell my guys, marry the process and divorce the outcome. Just because if you're, acting based on your current results, you could get discouraged and look elsewhere. I've tried it all. I think having early success in network marketing kind of boosted my ego a little too much, and I kind of just plateaued and never did anything in my 20s. I tried starting multiple different businesses, raised money for a cannabis company, tried starting my own network marketing company, but ultimately I always got in the way of my success. And then when I found Dave, not only did I really believe in solar, there's a million ways to make $1 million in America. This one felt good, checked off a lot of boxes from doing right by the homeowner, helping the planet. And Dave had some guys making some great income. But it was really Dave's story that inspired me, and it allowed me to humble myself and realize that other people have had it hard too and have been through it. And if they can go through it, you know, so can I.
Take me back to cannabis for a moment, because you actually, you just refreshed me in that story. You actually had an opportunity to partner.
I've had so many opportunities. It's disgusting.
How old were you when you got that offer to partner with another cannabis company? And we're going to talk about the outcome that didn't happen in a second. How old were you when that happened, the offer for that?
I think I was 26.
26. And you were actually at a high, because what you guys were doing was working in the market, right? So it's like...
We felt like we were ahead.
Yeah.
Better funding, just a very good setup and situation.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of having 100% of my own thing.
Correct. And then that miss of partnering cost you approximately, if you were to do some back of the envelope...
I'd say 30 million.
30 million. 30 million. Yes, I understand. I'm familiar with those misses. I've had 2 of those misses, actually.
And it's, you know, there's so much opportunity in front of you if you just change your perspective a tiny bit. You got 99% of people out there that have a victim mentality. They talk about how hard life is, how life isn't fair, and they just have low-level conversations with their circle. And it's nothing but problems. And if you change your perspective a tiny bit, or you get around a little bit more successful people, they have a positive attitude, they're always looking for solutions, and they see opportunity. And if I look back at that situation, I used to train the guy's brother, and they sold a company called Sabercore for $430 million. Some of the most successful people I know, and I'm there training them every day. Take a clue. You know? But if you have that ego, you know, I compare it to solar CEOs today, which are just glorified sales reps that go direct to an EPC. They know everything. They have nothing. They want immediate instant gratification.
They all want to drive Lambos and not sell.
And that's where I was.
So, and had that transaction happened, you wouldn't be sitting here right now, at least not to this gentleman. You'd be sitting, but not next to this guy, right? So take me to the trip you choose to take to go meet with Dave. Because I believe, I know there's multiple points again in our stories that we've all hit rock bottom, but when you create the contrast of where you're at this moment in this chair and the most recent rock bottom, it's when you fly out to meet him.
Oh yeah, that was rock bottom. 30 years old, sleeping on my friend's couch in low-income housing, drinking a fifth of vodka a day, and training for my first amateur fight, and I wanted nothing to do with sales or entrepreneurship or anything.
You'd given up.
I said, I don't need to make money. I don't make money anymore. I'm good.
Wow.
And I got a phone call, got connected to Dave, and the conversation made sense. It kind of piqued my curiosity a little bit. At the time, I had a business partner. We do everything together, and I had him get on the phone as well. Super smart guy. I value his opinion and respect him a lot. But we had just been burned by so many different projects and endeavors that he couldn't find anything about Dave's company and just like dismissed it and said, we're not even going to take a look at this. This isn't worth it. And
Did something inside of you say, but fuck it, I gotta go? Or was there an intuition? What?
It's not like I could afford to fly out and meet Dave in Vegas, which that was the invitation. And so since my buddy Milo didn't want to sponsor it and go, I was like, okay, yeah, we're not going to do it. And I'm sitting down that night at dinner waiting for my date to get there. And she was late. I was bored. And I was like, what if half of this is true? You know, I'm always that guy. My philosophy is 90% of life is showing up. 90% of success is showing up. So I booked a one-way ticket on Spirit for like a 7 a.m. flight.
Were you first class in Spirit?
The girl was so freaking beautiful that had she showed up on time, I would have never, you know.
We thank her.
Yes.
Dave thanks her.
Cheers.
So you show up. How much is in your bank account?
So I don't know back then because it's such an uncomfortable situation. I just don't look. But I found out that day, I have a screenshot of it on my phone. It's November 19, 2018. because I tried Ubering to meet Dave when I landed in McCarran Airport, and it didn't go through. So I pull up my Wells Fargo and everything's overdrawn and my checking account's negative $63. So I take a screenshot of it. I'm like, never again. I have $300 cash in my wallet. I take $100, get in the taxi line, meet this guy.
Okay, now you show up, Dave steps out, take a call. You're at the bar, at the restaurant with Dave's wife, and you guys had a drink, but now it's time to get sat. So you're like, shit, do I wait for...
I'm not gonna let a girl pay ever. That's just not my philosophy. And so I put $100 on the bar. So now, I've got change from the taxi and I've got two $100 bills left, and I don't know where I'm sleeping that night. And none of my cards, nothing's gonna work in my wallet. It's all overdrawn. And I figured I'll get some change back from this 100. Yeah. And this is when I learned about Clase Azul, which is all I drink today. The bartender comes back, he's like, sir, sorry, that's not enough. I'm like, not enough, it's 3 drinks. Turns out he drinks $90 Clase Azul. So I was like, okay, no problem. Put my last $100 bill on the counter as I swallow whatever. And yeah, we had a great dinner that night.
Great dinner. I think there's a lot of holes in this story that people that are watching this, which is, where did you sleep that night?
We ended up smoking a cigar in a lounge called Chandelier Lounge at Cosmo. And I ended up with a 48-year-old. It was an incredible experience. Honestly, I enjoyed myself. We both spoke French. It was great. I still see her to this day, in high limits. She'll gamble ungodly amounts of money. Yeah. And she's seen my whole journey, and she's just like, wow.
Yeah, by the way, I've gotten him back for the tequila because after getting him into tequila, now he only orders Clase Azul Ultra, and he makes me pay for it.
That's smart.
So, yeah.
It's about $400 a shot.
Yeah, so I paid him back, I don't know, 10, 20 times
There's
over.
There's a multiple. It's interest. It's a lot of interest.
Correct.
So just quickly recapping, obviously, Dave, very poignant story. Mattress on the floor, almost lost your fam, moved into an apartment, no food in the fridge. Edmund, trying to get an Uber, can barely get the flight, can't get an Uber.
All of that is self-inflicted, and I'm better than that. Dave is truly the epitome of someone that's done the right thing for a very long time, has gotten the short end of the stick, and has still figured out to save his family, save his marriage, persevere, move forward, and become an icon. And that story inspired me because ultimately, you talk about this all the time, you're only going to act on something if you believe. Not only did I believe in solar, I believed in Dave. I know the difference between seeing somebody that comes from money or seeing somebody that's self-made.
That build it.
And I respect that so much. And so for me, how do I become successful? I got to stick with something for more than 4 months, right? And it has to be the right thing. So I finally found the right thing. I had to know that, and then I had to stick with it because my results in solar at first were not what I wanted them to be.
Well, keep running with that because that's the transition, right? You're down to your last $50, right?
Oh, yeah.
You decide to partner.
So one thing I will give you guys as a tip, if you're talking about your past, you're not doing well in the present, right? Dave, what was your opinion of me when you first met me?
So, had a high level of self-confidence.
Was I broke?
No, not by any means. Had no suspicion of any commission breath or.
so no.
Although he had no problem asking me for $100,000 just to sign up.
So nobody,
that's what rich people do, right?
Nobody needs to know how broke you are. Nobody needs to know that. Period. And you're only broke if you say you're broke. And to my advantage, that's something that I've never talked about. The first time anybody ever saw that screenshot was my 26th month in the business when I was making $130,000 a month that month. That's the first time you ever saw that. You never even.
Well, I'm gonna point out a belief. This is a core belief, and we're talking a lot about beliefs on different videos that are coming out recently. I heard a belief that you threw out there, which is, I choose to no longer make money. I don't like it anymore. I don't care about money anymore. Therefore, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be with this $300 in my pocket because I made that choice. I'm in control of that. That was your broke situation was a core belief that you had changed from I want wealth to fuck that, I don't want any. And that's how good you are with your belief system. So Your belief system is fucking amazing. When you choose, and a belief is just a feeling of certainty, right? When you choose a path, you create these beliefs that are so strong that your actions mirror perfectly, and so do your results. So, but okay, so you come aboard. Tell us the path to success now. You're here. Now tell us the fucking rocket ship.
I love the conversation. I love the business model. It's time for me to get started. I live in Portland, Oregon. You're not open in Portland, Oregon.
Nope. We'll be there soon.
I also, my philosophy was I don't do anything for free. So I did ask you for $100,000. And, Dave laughed, said that's not how this works, and shared his vision, talked about what he's going to do and where the company's going and how I can be as big of a part of that as I want to be. And ultimately, I decided to engage. I asked my parents for $2,000. They said, Edmund, when is enough?
Wow.
You can go back to school and you could be a doctor by now and take over the family practice.
True.
I was in the NFL club. No friends left. No funds left. Nobody wanted to throw anything my way.
No fucks left. Nothing. No Fs.
So I was renting out my house at the time, so I wouldn't have to pay the mortgage, and that's how I was sleeping on my friend's couch. So instead of paying the mortgage with the rent money, I took that money, which was $2,900, packed my Camry that I owed $6,000 on, drove out to California, got started in solar.
And tell us about your Camry now.
My Camry got turned into the most expensive Prius money can buy in 4 months. And if you look me up on Instagram, Edmund Bayard _ April 10th, 2019, I posted a Lamborghini may cost $300,000, but this Prius will make me millions. Obviously, nobody paid attention to that post. Today, I can buy a Lamborghini every single month cash.
Yes. And I was out there with you guys hanging out a couple weeks ago, and you had picked me up in a
Rolls-Royce Dawn.
And this, guys, sometimes we talk about money in the show, sometimes we don't. So, and some of you guys are interested in those topics, and some of you guys are. And when you have the chance to talk about it, I like to take that opportunity, because when I was 18 and I saw opportunity for the first time as a super broke college kid playing baseball from a very blue collar middle class family, you know what I got excited about? Making money.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of people watching this that get excited about the chance that they can make money, right? So I want to talk about that for a second. So you picked me up in a what?
Rolls-Royce Dawn.
And then later, you put me inside his car that you gave to him as a present, which was a
Ferrari 488.
Yes.
So the first time Dave and I met, we shared with each other our dream cars. So mine is the Rolls-Royce Dawn. It's a Rolls-Royce convertible. And his has always been the 488.
Yep.
Hell yeah. So on your journey to the 2.5 million to 5 million you're going to make this year, from the $50 you had left the night you met him, 3 killer musts. If anyone watching this, these are your musts. Your 80-20 rule of musts, these 3 are the 80% of how you got to where you're at in the last couple years. Practices, philosophies, hit them.
You have to actually want it. You can't talk about it. It has to be in you. I was finally sick and tired of being sick and tired. I did not want anything to do with my previous life. 5 months into the business, one of my best friends invited me to the Cannes Film Festival in France, red carpet. Not only did I say no because I'm focused on my business, but now he's selling me on how I can't say no, right? He's got a first class ticket for me. We're never going to have this opportunity again. Leonardo DiCaprio, George Clooney, everyone's there. You have to be there. Then we're going to have $100,000 villa in Greece, and we're going to freaking Rolls Royce in Rome. And you have to want success so badly that nothing is going to distract you from it. And a lot of people talk about how they want success, but somebody can derail them in 2 seconds. And, momentum is gained and lost daily. It's so hard to gain, so easy to lose. And you also have to be able to take accountability of where you're at and what your skill set is. My first year in solar in 2019, there's no doubt that I put in the most amount of work in our company. But I didn't make the most money. I didn't make the most money. I didn't have the best results. And I could have either blamed anybody but myself for those results, or I could, take accountability of those results at the end of the year and try again. And a lot of people, a lot of guys come up to me today before they quit and they're like, well, I got to make $500,000 before I make $1 million, blah, blah, blah. I made 181 my first year, 291 my second year, which was 2020 in a pandemic, and then 2.5 last year. My first 90,000 in January of 2022, 130 in February, 180 in March, 247, 907 in April. So it doesn't just happen, the way you think it's going to happen, but it will happen if you're acting based on where you want to go instead of based on where you're at. Like my excitement, my emotion, my enthusiasm, my desire, my hunger, my belief, it's always been there. And it's not something that Dave can give me every single day. It's something that I need to have and work on and create. When Tony Robbins talks about how success is 80% mental, 20% skill, it's so true because there's so many people that have the skill.
More.
I feel like I'm somewhat talented and skilled, but I never did anything with it. And then I've probably introduced a dozen people to this industry and to entrepreneurship that went off and made millions, that went off and spoke on stage, that went off and filled stadiums, that went off and did things. And here I am in low income housing watching it on social media. And I'm like, is it even real? Did he just buy an R8? But then the next month it's another car, a house for the parents. And that is painful. That's painful. So once you're finally ready for success, which I was at 30, it doesn't matter how long it takes. I'll take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. I don't care how long it takes. I'm checking myself into the federal penitentiary. There's nothing else that matters. And I'm not going to come up for air until I've earned it.
That was a full fucking series of lessons that just came out. I'll recap a couple that I heard. Number one is you must have a massive fucking burning desire that you will stop at nothing. Number two is you better have the accountability and work ethic to back it up. Number three, extreme focus, that no matter what opportunities present itself, they do not take you out of focus. And number four is patience impatience in your efforts, patience in your results. Impatience in your effort, patience in your results. Fuck yeah, great story. Boom.
Understand, nobody's gonna do it for you. One thing that really made me wake up is realizing that nobody is coming to save me. My parents aren't gonna come hook me up with anything. My friends, nobody's gonna devote their day to buying me a Ferrari. So I had to understand that if it's ever gonna happen, it's gonna have to be me.
Oh yeah. Dave.
Yes.
We're in an apartment.
Yeah.
We need some food and a bed frame.
Yeah.
What's next?
I mean, for a couple of months, it was literally just kind of floundering. It was survival mode, which is just, it's embarrassing to say that, we got to that point. But I was intentional about getting into the solar industry. I knew that was the thing. I knew that was the future. I knew there was fortunes to be made there. And I actually attempted to get hired at Solar City. They passed on me, which is funny because it comes full circle. The group that really launched the massive sales engine that did 17,000 installs a month and $8 billion a year for Solar City, then spun off and did LoanPal. And then I meet these guys a couple years later and we're on the other side of the table. It's really funny.
So they're pitching you.
Yeah, they're pitching me.
They want your business.
They want my business because we're doing 10, 15 million a month.
I forget the gentleman's name. It's like your WhatsApp moment. The guy that Zuckerberg's no, you're not qualified enough here to work at Facebook. And then all of a sudden he starts WhatsApp and sells it back to him for 15 billion.
And these guys they were getting hit so hard with people that wanted to be a part of their organization. They'd just wake up one morning and be like, we're not hiring anybody today. I don't care what they look like or who they are. And they were in that position. Anybody would have went in there. So that's a closed door. And then at the same time, I do believe this is, things happen for a reason. This, potentially a divine opportunity. I get a phone call from someone close, a mutual friend, and she's literally pitching me on a solar company that her friend started. And I'm like, this is my in. I don't have anything else. I'm going there. I drove there. It was a 2-hour drive, met with them, said, I want to get started right away. And that was really the start. But I didn't know how bad and how tough that start was going to be there. They really were missing a lot of things. They had no systems in place, no training system, no marketing. You know, it's a bunch of kids knocking doors, essentially. No unified pitch or presentation. Like, teach yourself how to sell solar, basically. And the pay plan was very narrow and shallow. So that became the best opportunity for me because I could create anything I wanted in that system.
You restarted. This is important.
Yeah.
You went from business owner to replacing that income and having a direct sales networking team that was making residual income for you to restarting as a sales professional.
Correct.
And so many people miss this. Like, if your fucking back is against a wall, like your back's against the wall, you need to go sell something, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what you did. You're like, okay, what can I go to right now that can get me 6 figures again while I'm back, so I can even have belief again to go do something big.
Right.
Let me go sell something.
Yep.
This is so huge because so many people are unwilling to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
they've created their own little
they
rules.
think they're already here or they're already there.
Again.
You've got to be humble enough to be able to go back to the basics.
You know, so if you're going to get through the fire, right? Because this whole thing's about being forged by fire. You're going to get through the fire. If you're going to come out like a sword and just start slaying again, you gotta be humble enough to do shit that maybe you haven't done in 10 years, 15 years. Right. And you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to go bang some doors.
Yeah. I think it was Steve Jobs. He said, sometimes you have to be willing to wipe the board of accomplishments clean so that you can start over.
Yeah.
And I actually had that quote in my mind when I'm in that point in my life. I'm like, wow, if he can talk like that about himself, right? Like, who's a bigger CEO? Who's created a bigger, more valuable company in the world? And he's literally saying, like, sometimes you have to kind of let all that stuff go, the accolades, and I did this and I'm this. And I'm like, that's where I'm at right now.
I feel like you're talking at me right now, Dave. You know, because John C. Maxwell is a personal mentor of mine. A quote rings in my ears often, which is, are you a historian or a leader?
Yeah.
Because leaders are not historians. They're not talking about the shit that they did. Yep. If you're still talking about the touchdown you scored in high school, I mean, give me a break, right? So you start banging doors, you get income flowing.
No, not at all. I mean, this is, if I knew how long it was going to take, I actually would have chosen a different path. So I go into this thinking like, hell yeah, let's get out there. I'm going to figure out this beast, get some commissions rolling in. And I'm literally thinking like, I'm going to save my family with this. Like, I'm going to get 10 grand together really fast, pay this shit off, bring mama home, you know, and just every weekend, just make it rain every week. And I'm like, that's the mode I'm in. I am like, I will put in any amount of hours with whatever intensity necessary to like make this happen. And so my first 5 sales, they're warm market. I'm like, oh, I know 5 homeowners that would love to save money on their electric bill. These are going to be my laydowns. Boom, boom, boom. I knock those out in a weekend. And I do the math on the commissions and I'm shocked. I'm like, there's no way this is right. Like, there's no way this is right. And I call the owner of the company. I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm doing the math wrong. Like, it says I made 20 grand this weekend. And he's like, oh yeah, we're doing it. I'm like, it's supposed to be 2 grand, right? He's like, no, that's right. It's 20. I'm like, holy shit. Are you kidding me? You're gonna be rich. And I'm like, I want to be rich. Yeah. So I'm fired up, but like, I don't have anyone else to call.
There's no pipeline of sales.
There's no pipeline. There's no appointment set. And I got to figure that out.
Did they actually install?
So those turned out to be in a market where they said they would install, but it's not going to happen for 9 months. So even though I have those in the tank, I'm not seeing any of that money.
God.
And on that comp plan, there's no advances, there's no upfront anything.
It was accrued. Income accrued for 9 months from now.
And I'm literally back to square one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool, let's pick another market. And they're like, oh yeah, we're good over here. I go there. And this is all learning curve stuff, right? So one side of the street installs in 2 weeks. The other side of the street, because it's a different utility, installs in 6 months.
You're on the wrong side of the street.
I'm on the wrong side of the street. So I sell like 4 more deals over there in a week. And these are my first door knock deals. Like, I've never done door knocking. I have this in my mind because my business experience since 17 years old has all been through warm market. It's like word of mouth, referral, networking. And so I've never sold a stranger anything, and I'm like, this is going to be hard work. I'm going to have to be, pounding these doors and go back 3 or 4 times to sell them something. Nope. I'm like killing it. Like walk in. This is a part that's really exciting, right? I'm like, I could never imagine it would be so easy to convince a stranger to spend $40,000 the first time I meet them. Like I'm just blown away.
What do you attribute that to inside of yourself? Obviously, we can go logical on the product.
Yeah. It's not that. I had these skills that I built up over 15 years of just communication and being able to establish trust quickly and to take a conversation emotional. So the decision is made emotionally and people buy with emotion. And so that's what it was for me. And I could paint this vision, whether it's negative or positive, of why they needed to make a decision now. So I had the skill set, but again, like I didn't have the training. I'm selling on the wrong side of the street. I got another $25,000 in commissions that I cannot touch for 6 months. Yeah. And so this goes on, and I'm like, I'm here to make money, and I'm not making any money. We're still paying the rent. Esther's still working. She's still at the job. And I have a business coach at the time, and he's like loving what I'm doing. He's helping me with the journey. He's getting me from A to B to C, and he comes through for me. He's like, hey, I'm not saying you have to take this, but I have an option for you. And when I tell people in the company that I borrowed money from the Russians to keep going, there's literally this like Russian-born Canadian real estate hard money investor that my business coach convinced to give me a hard money loan
against your commission,
against my commission pipeline at loan shark rates. Of course. I mean, we're talking 10% per month. But to me, you have to understand, each weekend I'm in the home and I'm pretty much pulling in 20 grand.
Yeah.
Like I can't
slow down.
There's no way. There's nothing anyone could tell me to go take a side job here. Every hour I take away from solar, I'm losing $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So 10% on the money, to me, I'm like, oh, thank God, that is so cheap. That's what I'm thinking, right? 120% interest per year.
The opportunity cost of not presenting was higher.
Yeah, so it was no problem. I'm signing contract after contract.
Dave's wired different.
Yeah. So at what point do you decide to start? I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to stop following the lead of other individuals. Yeah. How far down the road is that?
So my vision exceeded what the owners of that company's vision was, and that became apparent in a phone call. So I figured out the door knocking thing, finally paid my loan shark loans off, and started to get some money coming in. And I started seeing big checks, 30, 40, 50 grand a month again. And I'm like, cool. I hired a door knocking team, got that kind of like automated so I could try some new things. I'm like, there's got to be better ways to acquire customers for this business. And so we were one of the first to market on Facebook, built a small call center, and started scaling that up. And we just hit a ceiling with the company we're at. And
how much do you think you did in total advertising last year? We'll say
last year total under 5 million, but we're about 20 million deep in the last 3 years.
I make that reference because sometimes we talk about earnings or sometimes we talk about sales, but sometimes a core metric's like, oh shit, this guy spent 20 million in the last 3 years in advertising, spent 20 million in advertising. Sometimes that metric will hit somebody like, wow, I want to listen. I want to know more who these people are, how they did what they did, what's going on in their lives. Because, spending $20 million just to make the phone ring is a learning curve that, I don't know, 99.9% of all humans will never go through, right? So your sales trend, year 1, year 2, year 3, you guys are in year 4 right now or year 5 right now?
2017 to 2022, we're in year 5.
Right. Yeah. So we already heard we're going for 350 to 400 million this year. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, what's your sales pattern?
Revenue. Yeah. So so we started summer of 17. First year was 40 million. Second year was 89 million. That was right before COVID.
2x.
So 2x. COVID happens. It's a full reboot. Like literally, this is another podcast.
No, stay there. It's perfect. Did you, when COVID hits and like it's wiping out the business model, which is in-home presentations, because you're in states that are like, I live in Miami.
Yeah.
We had no rules.
Right. Yeah.
Right? What do you mean you can't go to somebody's house? What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Yeah. California was like, oh my gosh,
Everyone
full
quit.
lockdown. Yeah.
so this wipes out your business model. Do you go back to the mindset of fuck, empty fridge, mattress? Do you say there's no way in hell that's happening? Where do you go in your mind? What's the internal dialogues when this is happening? Not, oh shit, not again. Like,
I don't. Yeah, it wasn't quite. I don't know. I didn't go back to empty, fridge and mattress, but I gave myself 24 hours to panic. So I am like the eternal optimist. Yeah. So I will go too far and too hard. Like I just always see light and opportunity. That's just how I operate. So when they're talking about the shutdown and coronavirus originally, I'm just like, that's just media noise. I'm not paying attention to that.
That's why we don't listen to the TV.
Yeah. Oh, you're watching TV, you're not making money, right? So I'm literally thinking this is going to blow over in 2 weeks. And then it becomes apparent it's going longer and longer. And there was a point where it's like, okay, contracts are canceling. We're not making sales. We're getting turned away at the door.
Bills are the same.
Expenses are the same. I'm still spending.
Advertising engine still.
$50K a week nut.
Yep.
And while everybody in the company quits, I go to Dave and I'm like, hey, you don't have to pay me. I'll sell my watch if I have to. And he's like, no, it's not that bad. We're gonna be
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. So I give myself 24 hours to panic. And then I basically focus on the opportunity. Okay, while everyone is retracting, while everyone is going to be playing defense and shrinking and pulling back, a lot of them are going to go bankrupt. They're going to be off the field. They're not even in the game anymore. When people reduce their spend, that creates opportunity. So there's more supply, which means lead costs will be cheaper. So I'm just looking for all this. I'm like, what's the opportunity? What's the opportunity?
Wow.
And I see all of these different opportunities.
Lead cost is going down as everyone's pulling out of the market.
Correct.
Less competition.
Less competition, less people at the door, less people there's all these people are off the field, right?
He kept saying COVID will be the best thing that's ever happened to our company. And he said it so many times, it almost made me angry because the sales are gone. Everyone quit.
Stop saying that shit.
And he's just like, COVID will be the best thing that's ever happened to Apricot.
It was my mantra. I came out of the cave, 24 hours of panic, and I was like, this is what it is. And I'm big on vision. Like I have to see it.
Yeah.
And so I'm painting this vision and I know this is our way forward. And so we just had to come up with a strategy, to get through it, which we did.
This is 2020.
Yeah, it's 2020, March 2020.
You did 89 million in 19.
Yeah.
What did you guys do in 2020?
105.
105. So not only did you hold the line, you grew by 20%.
But this is like going backwards and then several months of just like abysmal. So we made up all of it in the summer. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, guys. Cheers. We forgot to do that earlier. Let's do it now. 2021.
Incredible year.
Total revenue.
205.
205. So 40, 89, 115, 205.
205,
And 350 to 400 this year.
Yeah.
So for people that are the backbone to great sales leaders, people that are the ops, people that are, building infrastructure for great sales leadership to go make 2, 3, 4, 5 million. What tips do you have to these guys as to how do you go from a mattress and an empty fridge to 400 million while pivoting your business model in that mid run from 0 to 400 million?
Yeah. So I made a decision early on that the most important part of our company was the people. So it's, I would say this every single week on a Zoom where I would do hiring. I was the last person I would meet every person we hire or don't hire.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, listen, a company is just people. That's all it is. Doesn't matter what your product is, what your service is. You can have the best product in the world. If you have shitty people, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
You could have a subpar product, and if your people and culture are good, you could build a good company. But the only way to build something great is to have great people. You have to have the best people. And so everyone that worked with us knew that. I repeated this every week too, and it's just putting it in their mind. And so they're looking for great people, right? And we're passing on people that I think would not perform, would not show up, wouldn't be consistent. And so that was a big lens, big priority is find the best of the best people.
Yeah.
And then, just showing up every day, being consistent. Like early on, before we even building Apricot, I am 6 days a week. I am leaving at 7 a.m. to drive somewhere that's 2 hours away. That's like my little solar honey hole that I know I can turn around 2 weekend stalls and get cash. And then, either staying there that night or driving home, getting home by midnight, 1 a.m. And it's funny, like, in order to save my family, I had to like leave them at home, and, but that consistent 6 day a week, whatever it takes, week after week after week after week to build momentum, right? So consistency, commitment, like I said, I'm big on vision. So I had this vision of what this company was going to look like, what the brand is, and I was just committed to fulfilling on it. And
people, commitment.
Yeah.
Give me a third one.
Well, the third one is vision. So before I started Apricot, in Vi, before I ever stood on a stage with 20,000 people, before I ever trained in front of a few thousand in the shower, I'm seeing it. I'm watching the movie play, and it just, the first time it happened, it wasn't even shocking. It's like, I've done this before. You know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. In fact, let's shift there because we took 5 weeks to talk about a formula for me, one of my core 6 philosophies, which is called Art of Desire. Mm-hmm. And in that formula is, so you got your dreams and goals, plus your habits, plus your values, plus visualization. Yeah. You went straight to visualization. How critical is visualization to you and your success?
It's everything. It is literally, that would be my cornerstone right there. Like, you have to see it to believe it, because we know that you already said belief is a feeling of certainty, right? And you build your belief with references, right?
Yes, true.
You can create those references.
Yes, you can.
In the shower every day, in the hot tub every day, in like before you go to bed or when you met it, like whatever you're gonna do, you need that time where you're literally just seeing it, and you make that vision clearer and clearer and clearer. And to the point of clarity, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an actual experience or a vividly imagined vision. So you can literally train your subconscious to believe that you already are that person. You already are that speaker, that CEO, that
daily habit for you? Daily visualization? Daily, every other day? What's kind of, do you do it as a certain place?
I lie, cheat, and steal your way to the top. I lie awake at night obsessing about my goals. I cheat time away from all the things that aren't serving me. I only saw 5 movies in 2020. Pandemic, I don't know how many movies you saw, how much TV you watched.
Tell them
what you did. 2020, it was 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-hour days of productive activity in the business. It was 3 movies with Dave and his kids and Esther. And it was 2 movies on my own.
He resented those 3. I saw it in his eyes.
He's like, oh, fucking movies.
and one thing Dave doesn't share, none of this happens for Dave if he gives in and listens to his family and quits. The man's an incredible guitar player, and he sold his last guitar just to be able to pay the electrical bill at his apartment.
That's why I'm so passionate about solar, because the electric company took my guitar.
No, but this is a
traumatic event.
Not only does he
reference of magnitude.
Not only does he sell his last guitar to literally pay rent, pay the electrical bill, but his wife buys it back for him on his birthday.
That was beautiful.
Last year.
You have an amazing wife. Shout out Esther.
She tracked it down. She created this. She blindfolded me, drives me, takes me this whole thing, and like my guitar is sitting there in a guitar store, and then 2 more guitars, and then just the whole thing.
So you visualize daily. So I used to visualize every single day myself in front of an arena of people. So when we sold out the Miami Heat Arena, at the end, people were like, did you ever see this happening?
Yeah.
Did you ever think this was happening? And I just remember going, every fucking day. I saw this happening every single day without fail. Without fail.
Did you really think the brand was going to do this? Did you really think you're going to have this, event, like all the, I did. Like, I intentionally saw this every single day for the last 3 years.
Hell yes. So let's stay in the formula. So dreams and goals. You guys, obviously nobody is successful without dreams, but do you guys go scientific? Do you tie it to goals with deadlines? Like, okay, here's my 3-year deadlines, my 1 year. Like, how specific do you guys go with that?
I'm pretty analytical. So every year, I pretty much follow your formula, and we sit down, we take a week or two off. We plan out, 5 years and then walk it back. And then we create deadlines, and we're very specific.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Goal setter, not a goal setter in terms of the written?
I've been allergic to it my entire life, and once I started doing it, I started getting results.
You had told me, you and I actually did our goals together.
So every single goal I wrote down with you in Miami last year came to fruition, like from the blue check mark to buying another exotic car to making $300,000 a month to every single last goal. The only one I didn't hit was 275 for 8 reps. And
I'm disappointed.
You know what it is? It's you're only going to do what you actually want to do. So talk is cheap. Mm-hmm. Writing it down is going to give it a lot more power. But unless it's something you really want, I prioritized going out, popping bottles, spending a couple million in Vegas over being in the gym at 6 a.m. I was on my first call at 7 a.m., but I was not in the gym.
So you prioritize joy over the workout, even though you look better than almost all of us watching this, right? So I don't think anyone's feeling bad for you there. I just worked out with him the other day. He's fine, but he didn't get his goal of 275 for 10. So both goal setters, both with deadlines, both things happen. So dreams and goals, plus habits, plus values. Let's talk about habits for a moment. You guys have a set of habits, either in business or personal, that you try to adhere to every day. It's almost impossible to adhere to them every day. But you could, when I say specifically shit, every day I eat right and exercise, or will try to, or every day I will. What's some of those things on that list?
A non-negotiable for me is showing up. And one thing I admire about Dave is he hasn't missed a meeting in 3 years, right? The most reliable person in my life that is, I already know he's going to be on the Zoom, he's going to be on the call, he's going to be at the dinner table. If I ask him for something and he commits to it, he's going to be there. So for me, that's a non-negotiable with my guys as well. And not only do I prioritize Apricot, but showing up. Got to show up.
Oh, yeah.
I was on a Zoom. It didn't matter if I was partying until 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a Zoom every single day, Monday through Friday at 9:15 a.m. teaching a class of a couple dozen people for a year straight. Commitment and consistency beats talent and skill.
Beautiful. Couple habits on your end that you're like, these are every day. I try to execute these on either the business side or the personal side.
Yeah. So visualization is a habit for me. It's a daily habit. And also taking in some type of audiobook or book that I'm reading,
growth,
content, just any kind of personal growth. For me, it's like I have, because I'm constantly pouring out. So whether I'm working with the corporate team or whether I'm, on a Zoom, speaking to sales leaders, or I'm constantly pouring out. So you have to be poured into. So I'm constantly looking for inspiration, looking for how can I improve? What's some new thing that, I can share.
Yeah.
Those are two big ones. My habit was definitely exercise last year, but we got to revisit that one.
Just talk. Give me one on the business side. So he gave me one on the business side, which is showing up no matter what. No matter what has happened, I'm showing up. Give me one habit for you on the business side.
I'm a big finance person, so I have full control of the finances.
Dashboards.
Oh my gosh! Every day I'm just
you're in the dashboards.
All the numbers of the business. Just
you don't take a day off.
No.
Financials and dashboards, analytics.
A day. Yeah.
That's a great one for some of the entrepreneurs watching you, because it's like sometimes I ask people, "What about this?" Well, they have no clue what their numbers are.
Right.
It's like this. They're done. There's no fucking way they're gonna make it.
I mean, I'm checking sales proposals and installs 20 times a day. I know about every sale that happens as it happens. I just, and it's not something, but here's the thing. It's not something that I decided, this would be a good habit. I am obsessed over it.
Yeah.
Cause I'm moving the needle forward.
You also programmed your serotonin, your not your OCD.
Maybe I programmed my OCD. That'd be actually good.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
You're triggering dopamine every time you hit that refresh button. Every time,
yeah. I'm addicted to it.
I dig it. One for me on a business side would be recruit, present, or train. So recruit, present, or train's got to be done every single day. I'm either recruiting someone, presenting to someone, not train, or closing someone. Recruit, present, and close. One of those has got to happen. Or leadership development. Did I develop a leader today in one way, shape, or form? So those are one of my business habits. We're gonna round this out. So final thoughts from y'all. Anything that we didn't touch on, these Forged by Fire moments, people that are going through their shit, or maybe people that haven't gone through the shit yet and they've already made it. Final thoughts.
It's never as bad as it seems. And even saying that, you can kind of question it, but compared to what is such a powerful concept, right? And as bad as it is right now, even if it's mattress on the floor, if it's sales are free falling, if it's like things are out of control, there's always going to be a story of someone who literally, is in such a worse place, right? I remember seeing a Facebook story of a guy with no arms playing guitar, and he's like killing it. And people are putting money in his thing. And I'm just sitting here feeling like such a piece of shit because I can't make a sale. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's never as bad as it seems. You always ask yourself compared to what, and then nothing lasts forever. And that goes both ways. So nothing lasts forever. You're killing it. You're on the way up. Just remember, like Jim Rohn says, like you got to think winter in the summer. You got to think summer in the winter. And so whether things are going really, really well or whether things are really, really bad, nothing lasts forever.
Where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Dave Bengel, Bengel, at Dave Bengel.
Beautiful. Closing thoughts?
Core philosophy of mine that I adopted right before getting into solar is that I'm going to try and give more than I take in all walks of my life without expecting anything in return. And I believe that's a philosophy that really helped me stick it out in solar and finally make it. If you can humble yourself enough to understand a new business venture is day one, and you're actually willing to put in the work and go through it, you're gonna make it. If you let your ego get in the way, like 99% of people do, you're gonna quit and you're gonna become that guy that's been in sales 20, 30 years and that's just spinning their wheels, repeating the same year over and over and over again. And I don't wish that on anyone. That's what I did my entire 20s. And once I was able to just adopt new philosophies, what can you do for your company rather than what can the company do for me? All these guys that I work with every day, whether they make 300 grand a year, some even make $1 million a year, and they're all about what's in it for them, what is the company going to do for them. Whereas if they just shifted that, they could go and not just make $1 million 1 year, but they could sustain it, I believe, for decades and beyond.
Before you go, where to find you?
Edmund Bayard, BAYARD _
On Instagram and beyond?
On Instagram.
Lots of great content. So guys, that's our show today, Forged by Fire. These two guys have been through it, both on the corporate side, both on the sales side, been there, lost it, and now they're there again. What will your story be? Keep plugging into this. I have a charity or nonprofit called Next Gen. We teach youth, high school kids and college kids entrepreneurship. If you love what you're watching today and you want to support, go to thenextgen.org. That's our sponsor. Our sponsor means if you want to donate $50, we're going to go teach kids entrepreneurship. And the only thing I ask of you, from my perspective, is if you like anything you're seeing, share, make it go viral, and let's get this information out there. Thank you so much, and thank you guys so much. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.